As you can all see, next up, we're joined by this year's defending Grey Cup champion head coach of the Montreal Alouettes, Mr. Jason Maas. Firstly, we'll start with Frank. Frank, if you please.
Mic problem. Well, Jason, this isn't the year you can talk about not being respected. How important is it now that you have that respect, and how to deal with it?
Yeah, I think kind of goes back to not as much caring about what other people think about you and just worrying about the guys in your room and what you're playing for and all that stuff. And, we talked at the end of the year a bit about that with our players that, hey, the 1% in the room and in the city and all that believe in us, that's who you play for. So, at the end of the day, respect it or not, you still got to put the work in. And as long as our guys are willing to put that work in and believe in each other, I'll always believe in us.
The team made some really good moves towards the end of the season. You actually brought two of those guys back again. How important is it to have that continuity, and because usually it's very difficult for teams to keep the important players around because of the salary structure and how it changes after a win?
Yeah, no question. I mean, it's hard to keep any team together in the CFL, let alone when you do have success. Guys do tend to want to find out value and all that stuff, and you've got to right away figure out the guys you want around and keep around. And obviously those two guys you mentioned were huge contributors to us at the end of the season, and to lock them up for next year was extremely important for, like what you said, continuity on our team. And we're going to try to keep around as many guys as possible, and it's hard because you can't keep everybody. I mean, we had up to 77 guys on our roster last year. And a lot of teams, have a lot of players towards the end of the year or throughout the year, and you're just trying to identify, those core players and how they, how it all works together, and you got to make some tough decisions. But those two guys, Sankey and Lemon that came on board, we're thankful that they're with us again.
Thank you for this, and good luck this season.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Frank. Next, we'll go to Eric LeBlanc. Mr. LeBlanc, if you please.
Hey, hello, coach. Thanks for doing this. By winning the cup, you knew that your players would draw interest from other teams and even the NFL. How do you react when you see guys, like Austin Mack, Mustafa, and all those good players having a chance in the NFL?
I'm proud that they're getting their opportunity. I'm excited for them. I mean, obviously we all know in this business, the NFL kind of rules, the kingdom as far as, where the aspirations for every player probably are, and that's nothing on the CFL. I mean, I think we have a great league. We have great players, but the ultimate thing would be to go to the NFL and make a lot of money and continue playing football, because that's really what it comes down to. So I'm very excited for their opportunities. Obviously, it hurts us if they leave. We know that, we understand that, but you gotta, that's where the belief in our scouting department comes in, and finding the next guys that can step up and the guys that are already currently on our team. So someone's got to pick up that slack if they do decide to leave. But in no way, shape, or form would I ever look at that as a negative. I think, very positive for those guys and very happy for them if they do decide to move on. However, if that does not work out for them moving on to the NFL, we obviously excited to have every one of those guys that you named back, because they were huge contributors to our team, and they're all great people and individuals, and really enjoyed them and look forward to continuing that relationship with all those guys.
Yeah. And on a different topic, you have a new running back coach. What are you looking for into this decision? What do you want to see this new coach bring to the running back that maybe Tyrell wasn't bringing?
Well, it wasn't necessarily that Tyrell wasn't bringing, but Dave Jackson has a wealth of experience coaching in this league in a variety of different positions. He's been on defense, been on offense now, special teams. He's a great teacher. Watching him work with our fullbacks and tight ends last year, they're closely with the running backs anyways, and protection's a huge part of fullbacks and tight ends and how they block and do things. And, I think Dave did such a tremendous job with that. last year. And obviously there are restrictions on certain things that we can do with our staff. So, you got to identify the guys that can do multiple things, and Dave's very capable of doing that. So, excited to have Dave on board and coaching that position and understanding his strengths. And like I said, he's a experienced coach. He's a great teacher, and it'll be very good for our running back room.
And just the last one, which running back do you expect to have to starting the season?
Which one do I expect to start this season? Is that what you asked?
Yeah, because all of them are free agents. So which one do you expect to have?
Well, we're talking to all of them, and we still haven't quite made that decision just yet. That's something that obviously, like we say, we have identified, we've signed different guys. That's a tough decision, so we've got to look at that and make the right call. And that takes time. So, and we're afforded that time. Free agency isn't for another few weeks, so we've got time to make those decisions. But ultimately, for everybody, we'd like to make it sooner rather than later. But that's something that we've been discussing, and it's ongoing conversation because there's ramifications whichever way you decide to go with it. But I can tell you this: out of any of those 3 guys that were with us last year, whoever starts camp, we're going to be excited about it because they're all quality, great backs, great people, and contributed tremendously to our team last year.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Monsieur Leblanc, merci. Next, we'll go to Ted. Ted, please go ahead.
Hi, Jason. When you think back to a year ago at this time, is it kind of hard to believe all that's happened to come full circle to now?
Yeah, it's there's been some of those thoughts in my head, since the Grey Cup ended and the season ended, and as the weeks are going on, coming to this event here in Nashville with the CFL, thinking back to last year, just being hired and everything being new, and the owner situation, the president situation, players, the mass exodus of players and all that stuff. Yeah, it is. It's amazing to think what a change a year can present, and I think that's allows you to stay focused and grounded, to be honest with you. And it's nice to know that things can turn around. You continue to work hard, you get surrounded by great people, and good things can happen through situations when you just that are uncertain. So yeah, through all that uncertainty came out some great certainty, I guess, at the end of the day.
Thanks for that. In my opinion, your story, your team story, was the best of many good stories in the CFL this year. What are your thoughts on the state of the league after all the years you've been in it? Just how do you like the direction that it's going?
I mean, I like the direction. I think we in 23 years I've been up here, it's still an exciting brand of football. I think the players are getting better and better. I think the league is continuing to grow and expand. I thoroughly enjoyed my experience up here. I mean, seeing all these coaches down here right now in Nashville at the convention and talking ball and seeing what football is all about. I still think the CFL is as exciting as a league as there is, made up of great people. So I think the state of the league is at an all-time high, in my opinion, and I've been feel very fortunate to be a part of it. So obviously there's always room for improvement in anything, and I think that's what these weeks or these couple days are about, to see and expand on those things. But in a 9-team league, there are going to be always some issues. So I mean, it'd be nice to grow that number and to even some things out. But in the meantime, I love our league and I love the direction we're going.
One more from me. I just wanted to ask you for a comment on the team that you beat in the Grey Cup. That's 4 straight years in the Cup for the Bombers. They did lose the last 2, but what's just your overall thought on what they've achieved?
Arguably they're 30 seconds, 2 plays away from 4 straight. And when you think about that, that's tremendous. So it's hard to win in this league. It's extremely hard to win in this league. And I think you realize that the longer you're here, everyone thinks all 9-team league, you should win it more. Well, it's just difficult. Guys know each other very well. Teams know each other very well. There's battles each and every year. So to be there consistently, it's hard to keep teams together. It's hard to keep staffs together, players together. and keep that competitiveness. And so for an organization to do that, and they've done it for more than 4 years. I mean, the run up to the Grey Cup for 4 years, but 10 plus win seasons for 7 years or plus. That's tremendous to me. So 4 years in a row in the Grey Cup, obviously having been in Edmonton for 5 years, for a majority of my life, and knowing that the 5 in a row team was the standard, to be there for 4 straight years and see a team do it, I just have nothing but respect for Mike and the organization of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They've done a tremendous job. It was a feat for us to beat them. I mean, it took a great effort and a great team to do that. I just my hat's off to them. They're just tremendous.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Ted. Next, we'll go on to Jeff Hamilton. Jeff, please proceed.
Hello, Jason. How are you?
Good, thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, right on. I was curious if obviously lots of talk about your season, and I'm right there with Ted as far as being one of the if not the best story of the CFL this year. I'm wondering if because of what you dealt with in free agency, because of the barriers that you were faced with, having guys leave as well, if you didn't maybe find a completely different blueprint when it comes to acquiring guys, because we've seen this each year in, year out. You had the guy who wanted to set the market as a new, receiver, leave you guys. You had your starting quarterback bail on you because, and I mean, rightfully so to a certain degree, but then it forced you to take players that were being called misfits early on in the season. I'm wondering if your philosophy for free agency as a person or as a coach or as an organization has changed because of what you went through last year.
Well, I think in some ways it does. I mean, I think it just solidifies or verifies, or whatever word you want to use to say that our scouting department did a great job, and you got to trust them. Everybody. The thing about players in our league is when they become expensive, they're expensive for a reason. They got the experience. They are great players, but they also, some of those guys that were great players have been great for a while, and they were great their first year and their second year. So if you can believe that you can find them again at a affordable rate so that all the pieces can fit, sometimes that does work. But, being comfortable in February or after February and looking at the paper and saying, man, our team looks really good, it costs to look really good at times. So, when the big price pieces are not solidified and they do move on, you have to believe that you can replace. And I think that's what we ended up doing. We had plan A, plan B, plan C. It was plan A was this, and hey, it didn't work. Let's go to plan B to plan C. And it ain't that plan B and plan C, you didn't have faith or belief in it. It was just, all right, we're going to put our money here. All right, money didn't work. Let's go here. Let's put our money. So I think when you have open line of communication with Danny, and I have such a good relationship, and you start talking about all those pieces, you're identifying it. But Danny, PY, JM, Eric, Allison, they did such a great job of locating our players for us to come out on the better end of it by the end of the year. And that took a lot of work. There was a lot of grooming that had to be done with younger players. But whether that's a blueprint or not, I just think you have to have belief in the people in your building that can do their job. And when it comes to scouting, that's what it's all about. We all identify our great players in our league, and everybody wants them, but they want it to fit to your team and to your cap. And some teams can fit them and some teams can't. And so, everyone decides the pieces should cost this for that in different positions, and you got to make it work. But ultimately, we all need to find the next guy, because at some point when you're really good, you're gonna set the market, and some teams can afford to set the market and other teams can't. So, and sometimes it's forced. Like, we offered Gino a great contract, in my opinion, last year, and he decided to still go. So that does happen, and I'm happy for him, because that's the name of the game in this league for players, is to get your value. And happy for him, but also happy for us that we found a next wave of guys as well.
Last one for me. Have you started to form any alliances out there about people coming to attack your onside kick rule, as they probably the rules? I know you got somebody in Mike O'Shea who's got your back, because I know I think he's just jealous of it. But I'm wondering if you think you're gonna have to put up a fight here this week.
Well, I know it's, I think, first on the agenda to talk about and the rule changes. So that should tell you something. But to be quite honest with you, I mean, I love our rules in our league and I love the uniqueness of our league. So I'm not in favor of ever changing anything that's unique to our league. And it was very popular. I mean, if you talk about social media, there was that had quite a few views, and views can be positive and negative, but they're still views. So I'll roll with the punches one way or the other. But like I said, I think it's a unique rule and it should stay. But obviously we're a democracy, so we'll vote on that.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff. As we're winding down to our time slot, we'll take our last 3 questions at this point. Next, we'll go to John Hodge. John, if you please.
Hey, Jason, thanks for doing this. Just one from me. You've got a pretty rare distinction, and a few other people have it, but you've won a Grey Cup as a player, as an assistant coach, and now as a head coach. I'd be curious which one was the most fun? Can you rank those 3 for me? Is it more fun to win it as a player, head coach, assistant coach? Which is it?
Yeah, that's I haven't really thought of it as fun per se, but when I do think about it, I guess, I won both mine as a player, as a backup quarterback who never took a snap as a quarterback in any of those games. Now, part of those teams, and very feel very fortunate to be part of those teams and excited about that. The run we made in 2005 was tremendous and all that stuff. It was a lot of fun to be a part of those teams, and I'll cherish that memory forever. But there's a part of me that as a player, you didn't exactly play, but I still feel a part of it. The assistant was interesting because that was the 100th Grey Cup, and that was my first year coaching. So, I didn't know any different, and that team was pretty cool. We went 9-9 and just got into the playoffs and won that first playoff game, and then went into a powerhouse in Montreal and won, and then beat Calgary for it. So that whole year was a blur, to be quite honest, because my first year, and very different for me, going from a player to a coach. So, but I don't know if anything tops being a head coach and being a part of every decision throughout the season, and kind of molding things together with the team and with Danny, and how special this year was. I would still rank this one as the top, but they all hold a different meaning and feeling for me.
Well, if you haven't had enough fun yet, hopefully you can find some in Nashville. I hear that's a good place for it. So
it sure was. Thank you.
Thanks for that, John. Next, we'll go to Frank Stanici before ending with Radio Canada for Coach Maas. Frank, if you please.
Coach, you talked a little bit about balancing salaries and because of the cap and stuff like that. How important is it, not just for the cap, but for the thinking of the teammates of Cody Fajardo doing what he did?
Yeah, I mean, that all plays into it, right? I mean, I'm a coach, right? So when I look at a championship team, you want to keep everybody. I mean, if we could afford to say the guys that end the season with us and the guys were injured, we're going to heal them up, we're going to go back to camp, we're going to do it all over again, and we're going to keep them all. That's what I would raise my hand tenfold for that. But that's not reality. So you do have to make a lot of tough decisions. You got to identify the core. You got to identify the what you're about, and really how it all fits, because they all do fit. It's just making it fit financially. And so, yeah, look, it's position by position at that point. And part of that is the quarterback and protecting the quarterback and being able to surround the quarterback with weapons and things like that. And that's our whole offense, but defensively, you want to be able to stop people, and special teams, you want to have contributors that are huge for you. And that's part of our signings has been that with Chagon and Gagne, those kinds of guys are integral to what we do. So it's always going to be the push and pull of the team, and think about it as a whole, not just the quarterback, but you absolutely need to surround your quarterback with weapons. And there's talks, and there's going to be continued talks of that for the next 3 weeks to identify that to the nth degree.
The point being that the less money a quarterback wants, the more money you have to spend elsewhere, is my point.
Yeah, but you could also pay your quarterback a lot and spend less elsewhere as well. So, you know, it's again goes back to that scouting and identifying where you're going to put your money. So, but does it help to have your quarterback play at a high level and he's not as expensive? Of course it does. And when he's willing to give back some money to allow you to find those players, that's a team player. That's what you're looking for. So we have that in our building, which is very fortunate, and exciting.
Thank you. Good luck this year.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Frank. And finally, we'll go to our friends at Radio Canada to finish us off with Coach Maas.
Thank you, Jason. Yeah, you talked a little bit about the differences between today and the same date last year, but I'd like to hear your opinion, your mindset regarding the expectations, the pressure you put on yourselves and from the fans. You know, last year you were underdog, you had nothing to lose. Now you're defending champion. That's a world of differences, isn't it?
Well, I think the expectations, you know, from your fan base each and every year, to be quite honest with you, is pretty high. I mean, whether they'll say it or not, they want to win every year. And I don't think that expectation is any different in any room in this league. I've never walked into a room in day one and never thought you could win it all, you know. So, but that's your awareness. That's what your external motivating factors are. I just choose not to use those. I mean, we are so focused on ourselves and so focused on daily tasks that it allows you to distance yourself from expectations like that. You know, we were very, very candid about our expectations last year at the beginning of training camp. We said we wanted to be grade 8. We wanted to win the 8th grade cup for Montreal. We said that day one, but that's not something we focused on every day. We focused more on team camaraderie, working hard, all those things. Why should that change? Why should that belief change just because we won it? We're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to instill teamwork into our team, hard work into our team, and belief in each other and playing for each other. The moment we decide to say that's not the recipe, I don't think we'll be defending champs. So I don't care what the expectations are outside our room. Our expectations are extremely high inside, but the expectation is that you work for it. And that's why you should believe that it's attainable. So I'm all for being, you know, the defending champion, because our mindset doesn't change whether you're what position we were in last year to this year, to be quite honest with you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Merci.
Okay,
Coach,
merci.
thank you for your time.